Oh, okay, where's the thing? Oh, of course, the camera's reset again and again. Alright. I have to readjust everything because the power went out again. Why does the power keep coming out? It always... I'm the only room in that whole freaking house that has these freaking random, unexplained power outages. And of course, at the climax of the story, we're over here with the power going out. Of course, I have the Discord on the wrong page. Let me re-point that back out, because that was... I'm gonna give this a minute for it to come back. Luckily, whenever the power goes out like that, usually the game automatically suspends. Okay. So, let me refresh some of the dialogue, just in case anything was disappeared. Okay. I remember something that troubled me at the time. At the scenes, the lid of my brother's ink well was open. But Clint was punctilious about such things, and it seemed unusual. And no document penned in the color of the ink that was in the inkwell was ever found. So the document had disappeared. Is what are you suggesting? That the document that my father had his night in that cell was the same document that Lord Clint Van Zeeks was writing the moments before his death? And then it was... If Mr. Vigil's testimony is to be believed, then it can only mean that, yes. Mr. Vigil? Sir! When you spotted Mr. Sogi in the document, his cell, his precise words were as follows, were they not? Alright then. Well, what's on that paper? A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. It wasn't his will. It was Clint's will. If it was a will at all. A last will and testament. Testament. Ugh. If conversation really did go as Mr. Vigil says, then what we now know completely changes the meaning of what Mr. Asogi said. You really think Mr. Vigil did indeed see the conflict with a will? But it wasn't that of Genshin Asogi. It was the last will testament of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. No! What? Objection. This is madness! My brother's last will and testament? That would mean that he had chosen to die! That is what it would mean, yes. No! Impossible! That is utterly out of the question! Lord Van Zeeks... Clint was pursuing the professor. It consumed him day and night. I'm also going to save. In case we have a power outage, I can come back to this point. Whatever happened, he would never have abandoned his investigation before its conclusion. Never! He wouldn't rest until the job was done. Until the killer was caught. The idea that he would willingly accept his own death is obscene! Objection. And yet, we can be sure that he was writing his will moments before his death. And that Genshin Asogi came to be in possession of that document. So what could the will possibly have contained? Clearly something that couldn't be made public under any circumstances whatsoever. Because armed with that document, my father was able to negotiate with the judiciary for his life. It was something so damning that it prompted the powers that be to enact in that daring jailbreak plot. Yes, there can be no question that the will contained information of the utmost secrecy. Information of the utmost secrecy. Ah! No, it couldn't be. I've heard more than enough. Pursuing this notion of a phantom which nobody can attest to having seen, that serves absolutely no purpose.
Objection.
No, my lord, that's unacceptable. What did you say, counsel? The last will and testament that Genshin Asogi had in his possession was that of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. All the testimony and evidence presented to the court has logically led us to that as a possibility. We have a duty to pursue the line of reasoning to its conclusion. But with no possible means of knowing the contents of the document, there is no line of reasoning to pursue. A reason why Lord Clint Van Zeeks, a man of high noble standing, would have chosen death. Information so secret, people in the judiciary would be willing to negotiate the jailbreak of a condemned killer. The only explanation that fits those facts is an unthinkable truth that turns absolutely everything on its head. But it's just too hideous. Mr. Naruhodo, however difficult the situation might become, you work with your client in pursuit of the truth. That's what you resolved to do when you entered the courtroom this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Miss Sasato. So hold your head high and keep shouldering on. Yes, you're right. 10 years ago, in his final moments, Lord Clint Van Zeeks left behind a will. A will that Genshin Asogi is able to use as a weapon to negotiate his escape from prison. In all probability, the details of the will were related to the Professor case. The defense's last statement is mere conjecture. What are you getting at, man? Ryunosuke? Let's see, did I get it back on in time? We'll find out. I don't know. Oh my god. I need to fix the camera. Give me a second. Okay, it looks like it resumed the stream rather than... God, I'm glad I was able to get it back up in time. At least I think we have. I don't think we've lost it yet. Alright. I need to change everything over. Give me a second. I apologize deeply to the people trying to watch this in post, and also to the people trying to watch this train wreck now. I'm guessing something was going out there in the... You know what? I'm not even going to explain it right now. I'll explain it on Discord some other time. It's annoying. Basically, someone was probably using too much power in another area that my circuit's connected to and kept tripping it. So I think they wouldn't turn stuff off, so hopefully that won't happen again. Anyway. As soon as these words come out of my mouth, hold on. There's no going back. Wait, what? Okay, nothing else has been said. Alright. I believe that the last will and testament of Lord Van Zieks was in fact... I mean, I think it's an accusation. Obviously, it must have been an accusation. An accusation? Yes, revealing the true identity of the professor. Which would explain why Asogi took it, since he was he who was implicated by the document. No, in that case, he wouldn't have given Mr. Asogi any bargaining power at all. Then you're suggesting the accusation was against some other person. No, if that were the case, the two men would surely have cooperated to pursue the culprit together. Then your whole argument falls down! Yeah, I realized from the get-go that that was probably not going right. As the moment he started talking. Can I object to the penalty, too? It's apparent the defense's explanation has no real substance. This line of inquiry is dead. Come on, Ryunosuke, I know you. You've seen it to the heart of all this, haven't you? A reason why Lord Clint Van Zieks, a man of high noble standing, would have chosen death. Information so secret people in the judiciary would be willing to negotiate the jailbreak of a condemned killer. The only explanation it fits is an okay, yeah, this is not... Okay. Good grief, they beg you backtrack so much. Well, I mean, the next logical thing that makes sense might be a confession. You can do this, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe that what Lord Clint Van Zieks actually penned that day was a confession. A confession? Regarding the mass murderer known as the Professor and his true identity.
Objection.
Enough, Counsel. What are you saying? Do you even realize? A confession about the true identity of the Professor. That would mean... Lord Van Zieks, I appreciate this must be hard to take in. But it's the only explanation that fits. The killer that terrorized London a decade ago and became known as the Professor. The man believed to have murdered 5 members of the aristocracy. Wasn't Genshin Asogi at all. No, you can't be suggesting. If it was in fact the man believed to have been the 5th victim. Lord Clint Van Zieks himself. Ugh. Ah! It's finally open, is it? Pandora's box. The great Van Zieks family, they've been thoroughbreds of the British judiciary for years. And Lord Clint Van Zieks, he was a paragon of justice in the capital. But he was actually a mass murderer? A puppet, a proprietor of the aristocracy of the violence of nature? If the player point ever found out law and order, this country would be finished. My brother. Oh, this is too awful. Poor Lord Van Zieks. I wonder, though, did he never suspect Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Barrack Von Zieks is a brilliant prosecutor. Is it conceivable that he didn't realize that what his older brother really was? Order! Order! Order in the court! Lord Van Zieks. This is not the twist I was expecting. The Professor made use of an enormous hound as his murder weapon. Tell me, did your brother own a dog? Yes, he did. Balmung. He was a well-known hunting dog. People called him a giant. I don't believe this. When my brother would go hunting in the forests of the grounds behind the house, he always took Balmung. After Clint's death, the creature passed away too. Almost as if he were following his master. That is a pretty dope name, though, I will say. He was a magnificent hunting dog, worthy of the jewel-studded collar around his neck. A jewel-studded collar? That's right. So sadly, some years ago now, it was stolen by a thief who broke into the house one night. A jewel-studded collar stolen by a thief. That happens. That's what happens. That myself and my colleagues have come across such a collar during our time in London. How could you? Recap us, Sasuto. There was an old emblem attached to the collar too, made of pure gold. It was topped with a small crown and bore an ornate capital letter B. Balmung. What? An emblem bearing the initial B. Oh my, you know it. It's the insignia of the Baskerville family. What? The Baskerville? Why is that name coming up now? Baskerville is the family name of my late brother's widow. That pure gold emblem was an heirloom which Kent acquired upon their marriage. But there can be no doubt then. The collar you've described was Balmung's. The family insignia of Lord Clint Van Zeeks' widow. There was a considerable amount of blood on the collar when we saw it. Since we know the dog was used for hunting, it could have been from its quarry, of course. But it could equally have been from human prey. So is it true then? Clint Van Zeeks really was the professor. Impossible. These Japanese are making it all up to exonerate their own. So in fact, the person responsible for these murders of nobles and royals was a noble himself, and that threatened enormous scandal that would irrevocably destabilize British society. My father knew that, and was using it to negotiate his way out of the unjust charges brought against him. But at the very last hour, those he bargained with betrayed him, slaying him mercilessly on foreign soil. Well, can you deny it, Lord Strongheart? 10 years have passed, and still now the 6 million inhabitants of our great capital rest easy, believing that justice was done. That, though, is an ignominy remains. The diabolical murderer was caught and executed. Very well, then. You may have the truth. Tell me, then! Tell me what Clint really was! Lord Clint Van Zeeks was too pure of heart. When he became a prosecutor and went in pursuit of the black roots of crime, he drove himself into a corner. He came to the uncomfortable realization that to fight the most fiendish of criminals requires one to become even more fiendish oneself. Not the twist I was expecting. Clint. The 19th century was a truly miraculous 100 years for Great Britain and indeed the whole world. New industry, new technology, and with the birth of the Metropolitan Police Service, new law and order. But these dazzling new developments meant ever deeper shadows were cast on society. Water sullied by factories, air thick with noxious fumes and crime, growing daily to fill the darkness. Fair point. Lord Clint Van Zeeks made it his mission to combat that darkness, but as time went on, it slowly ate his soul, until eventually he was consumed. It's ironic, really, and somewhat surprising. that the truth has once again been unearthed by a Japanese. Once again? What do you mean? 10 years ago, your father, Genshin Asogi, turned up at my office one night. The professor? Yes, beyond all shadow of a doubt. You must issue a warrant to search his home at once. Don't be absurd. The man comes from one of our country's most illustrious families. He's a paragon of justice here in the capital. Yes, that's the point! That's why none of you British can see it! He's using his noble status as a diversion while he commits these atrocious crimes behind the scenes! Do you have evidence? Nothing definitive as yet. But he keeps an enormous savage hound on the estate. We need the full support of the judiciary for this. We're up against a member of the aristocracy. So a large family estate has a fierce guard dog. You should know that's commonplace here in Britain. I'm sorry, but I can't possibly put Scotland Yard onto this based on the tenuous accusation of a visiting student. So I turned down Asogi's plea, and as a result, he took it upon himself to visit the Van Zeek's mansion on his own. We can only imagine now what happened between the two men. Though we know the outcome, of course. Lord Clint Van Zeek's perished. I don't believe this. So, in actual fact, Kazuma-sama's father did... He made the late Lord Van Zeeks meet the same fate. He put a permanent end to the professor's killings by taking the drastic measure of ending the perpetrator's life. As soon as I heard, I hurried to the mansion. When I arrived, it was easy to grasp what had happened. And what about the will? Asogi must have already taken it. Nothing of that nature was found at the scene. We had no idea of the existence of such a document at that time. I was the only person who knew of the true identity of the professor. So, I resolved to keep it a secret, and to guard the secret to the bitter end. So you're admitting to it? That you were behind it all? It was you, then, who pinned the crimes on my father! I did what needed to be done in order to protect the law and order of the British Empire. Even if that meant employing an unforgivable ruse. Then it was you who arranged this fabricated evidence. I ordered that detective to take care of it, well as keeping the truth from him, naturally. Gregson. Obviously, he opposed me at first. Are you off your rocker? We can't do something like that! There's no question that it was Asogi who murdered Lord Van Zeeks. The house staff have made statements that they all saw the man running from the mansion last night. Yes, well, I've no doubt it was that Japanese fella. But we haven't got a shred of conclusive evidence against the man. And worse than that, he doesn't keep a dog, so we're short of a murder weapon to boot. And we're short on time, Gregson. We must put a stop to this man's rampage for the good of the country. So we'll use whatever means necessary. Do I make myself clear, Detective? Blimey. So that night 10 years ago, when I was attacked by those thugs in the back streets, and Genshin's ring was taken, that was him, was it? That was Gregson and some hired help. Then the detective handed the stolen ring to Dr. Wilson, who feigned its discovery from the victim's stomach during that autopsy. And in light of that decisive evidence, Mr. Asogi was found guilty of the charges brought against him. However, behind the scenes, he had actually already struck a deal with his accusers, in which he agreed to silently accept the charges. But I just don't believe that part. As far as I knew the man, my father despised such underhanded dealings. It was extremely easy to make him comply. You see, he had one crippling weakness. What weakness? You. Isn't it obvious? You, Kazuma Asogi. Me? Perhaps you have no desire to return to your homeland, Asogi. What? Though I hear you have a 14-year-old son. Agree to cooperate, and accept your guilt without contention, and you will see Japan and your son again. You scoundrel! Whether you choose wisely or not, it will be a closed trial by order of Her Majesty. So whatever rash claims you might make in court, we'll have no trouble in stifling them. There's only one outcome for you, Asogi. The gallows. Don't forget that I still have a weapon at my disposal. A document revealing a truth that I know you're desperate to keep hidden. Yes, it hadn't escaped my mind, which is the only reason I'm willing to bargain with you. I only want to protect this country's law and order. You understand? So, what's it to be, Asogi? Kazuma. He did it for me. And as I told him at the time, my motive was simply to protect Britain from the damage the truth would do. To protect this country's law and order at any cost. But why you look so evil about it? No, there's still personal gain for him. No, Van Zeeks, tell him what it is. I've never dared let myself even consider this possibility until now. But in the light of all this treachery, I have to ask. The mastermind behind the Reaper of the Bailey. It was you, Lord Maelstrongheart. Was it you? A rather brilliant idea, wouldn't you say, Lord Barrack von Zeeks? That the spirit of your late brother, that paragon of justice, should return to reap justice for his sibling. Could there be a more appetizing tale for London's masses, I ask you? What? What brazen... I knew that you'd play the part to perfection, but your role really wasn't that of some embodiment of death. No, you were London's guardian angel. An angel with bloody hands, I think not. Those who cooperated with me already were only too happy to participate in my plan. Dr. Gregson, Dr. Wilson, my minions worked tirelessly to ensure that the finger of guilt could never come to rest on you. It's all thanks to them that you were exalted as the demigod the Reaper became. But Dr. Wilson left Britain 4 years ago when he was invited to work in Japan. That's right. So I had to employ the services of this young protege after that. Dr. Courtney Sith. Dr. Sith. So what with the execution of the Professor and the subsequent reign of the Reaper of the Bailey, I have successfully safeguarded law and order in our mighty capital for the past decade. That is everything. No, there's still gotta be something else. This ends too cleanly for him. My lords, ladies, and gentlemen, I do hereby confess, it was I who sired the concept of the Reaper. However, let me say in my defense, it was all for the preservation of law and order across our entire empire. The end is never the end, man. Lord Strongheart did it. An unforgivable collection of crimes, but still, all those who died at the Reaper's hand were rotten to the core anyway. Dude, they're gonna let it... It was all in the aid of keeping London safe. There is no one left now who can reveal the precise truth of what happened 10 years ago. Therefore, this trial can go no further. Now, I would like to entreat all those present. Beyond these four walls, nobody need know the truth. Even Her Majesty must be protected from this. I trust you all appreciate the importance of my request. It is, of course, for the good of the country. This isn't... Can he do this? Can the trial really end now?
Hold it.
I have one last question. For the accused, Lord Van Zieks. What? Of course, I know that you're a highly accomplished prosecutor, so I find it hard to believe that you didn't have any doubts at all. That you never suspected your older brother. Yes, the same thought occurred to me. It was only once, but yes, I couldn't say that I never had my doubts. My brother's sense of justice was extremely strong, perhaps too strong, I observed. At times, there were members of the Overtus Christi who were bleeding the country dry for their own gain, and since they were nobles, they were untouchable. For my brother, it was a source of great turmoil. And coincidentally, at the same time, the professor began his terrifying reign. During the time of the professor killings, my brother did not appear to be himself. And that made you suspect? Yes. But it was only once, not more. Only once, really? Clint wasn't the culprit. That was my conclusion at the time. And I still believe that now. Do you have any evidence to support that idea? The third victim was the Lord Chief Justice at the time. It was he who recognized my brother's potential and trained him as a prosecutor. No matter what the circumstances, it's unthinkable that my brother could have killed his friend and mentor! That will do. Neither Clint Van Zieks nor Genshin Asogi still walk this earth. However much we debate this matter now, we cannot hope to reach a conclusion. But... there are only two existent pieces of evidence from the time. The woe-begone ring that acted as the incriminating evidence to condemn Genshin Asogi, and the 3-paged last will and testament penned in black ink and left behind the man. 3. The wretched truth of what happened is exactly as I have explained. Bro, is that the biggest slip-up of all time for him? Later today, I will present myself at the Ministry of Justice for whatever sanction is deemed appropriate. That is all. Court is adjourned. Objection? Yeah, our boy caught that. Strongheart has the paper. Thank you, Kazuma. Me? If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have made this 11th hour discovery. What discovery? My lord, I'm afraid I must insist the trial continues. I beg your pardon. As the court has been reminded today already, we must stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth. Ramirez be like, oh my god. And to that end, one particular statement made by somebody in this courtroom moments ago revealed a very subtle contradiction. What contradiction? But all I did was ask the accused one simple question. Well, it began with Lord Van Zieks and his recollection about his brother, but Lord Strongheart didn't permit the defendant to speak at length. I merely pointed out that we can draw no further useful conclusions here, so what on earth is the contradiction? One of them definitely just said something contradictory. It's time to identify who. It was Lord Strongheart, I'm sure of it. Something he said was slightly off. Come on, Ryunosuke. Think back over his words. Find the problem. Neither Clint Van Zieks nor Genshin Asogi still walk this earth. However much we debate this matter now, we cannot hope to reach a conclusion. There are only two existent pieces of evidence from the time. The woe-begone ring that acted as the incriminating evidence to condemn Genshin Asogi, and the 3-paged last will and testament penned in black ink and left behind by the man. Lord Strongheart, Would you care to explain? Explain what, counsel? Among the statements you made just a few moments ago, something you said was inconsistent with a certain piece of evidence we have. Inconsistent? And while a listed inconsistency remains, the defense has a right to pursue an explanation. Ryunosuke, what? No one else got this. Let me warn you about the statements you are making, counsel. They may very well prove fatal. You may claim my words contain a contradiction with which piece of evidence I ask you.
Take that!
This here is the will left behind by Mr. Asogi. The 2-paged will. What? Yet moments ago, your precise words were the 3-paged last will and testament. Ah! Could it be that originally there was a 3rd page? For a moment, I thought perhaps you identified something worthwhile, but it's a mere trifle, I see. A trifle? Governor Caden? Well, what can I do for you, sir? You were present when the Japanese man penned his last will and testament. Aye, I was there for sure. I remember the black swearums like squirrels in his day. And I'm quite certain, my lord, that there was a 3rd page at the time. What? What? Dude, he ratted him out. Only the first 2 pages were actual will, though. If I mind correctly, the 3rd was a message to his lad back in Japan. For legal purposes, we required only his will. And we wouldn't have wanted any uncomfortable words about the Britain to get back to Japan, eh? So it was decided that the 3rd page oughtn't be sent.
Objection!
How dare you make that decision? I had a right to know what it said, to hear my father's final words to me. The courtroom is no place for sentimentality, counsel. No place for these hands, either. As it happens, I have the 3rd page of the document with me here now. My father's message! It will be given to you at the end of these proceedings. It will be too late once the trial is over. We need to know what it says now. Even the slightest thing I may say gives a vital clue. My lord, the defense calls for Genshin Asogi's last words to his son be read out loud before the court now. Your request is denied. The infinitely maudlin words can be of no consequence now.
Objection!
Nah, shut that down. The prosecution agrees. The court should know the content of the message. Every possible piece of evidence must be thoroughly examined. Very well then, Governor Caden. You will read the 3rd page of the document for all present to hear. Yes, sir! Only, I should point out, my lord, that I can actually read Werem language. This beautiful handwriting. Shame on you, Barry. Who's talking? Oh. If I could be of assistance here, I would be happy to translate the words into English for the court. Father! You're still here, are you, Dr. Mikotoba? Naturally. I consider myself a member of the judiciary, albeit a lowly one. Perhaps I could quietly withdraw after I have translated Genshin's message. Your cooperation is much appreciated. I'm sure it is. Does anyone even know what it says? Kazuma, the truth is shrouded in darkness. The darkness only our clan's great sword can pierce. Mighty Karuma, twist thy head and watch them fall, all thy mortal foes. Dude, it's a thing for the sword. That's the end of the message, it would seem. A haiku poem? Twist thy head. Father, what is Karuma? The name of the Asogi clan's famous sword. The razor-sharp blade known to all, passed down for generations, and embodies the Japanese spirit. It's not known to me. It's the katana sword that was submitted as evidence earlier in these proceedings. The one worn by the prosecution counsel when he confronted Inspector Gregson. Bro, we're updating evidence still? All these procrastinations are beginning to try my patience. Adjournment of this court is long overdue. As the presiding judge, I have been accommodating as possible of the will of the courtroom. However, despite all that, no new information has come to light. In pursuit of justice, Lord Clint Van Zieks tragically lost all sense of morality. When he murdered his former mentor, clearly he was already devoid of his normal faculties.
Objection!
How dare you! I refuse to believe that is my brother. Too much time has passed. We cannot ever hope to know more than we do now. Especially since the alleged will that he penned in his final moments appear to have been lost forever. And clearly not inside the hilt of Karuma. Ah! Lord Strongheart, you appear to be in something of a hurry to wrap things up. I wonder why. We've heard you state time and time again during these proceedings that everything you did was in the interests of protecting British law and order. And I stand by that. Without the Reaper, we could never have achieved the reduction in crime the capital has seen.
Objection!
What about Inspector Gregson, then? And Dr. Wilson? They were no criminals. You used them to achieve your ends, and then you had them killed. However you dress it up, there was nothing fair or just about that. Look at that smirk of pure evil on his face. Lord Strongheart, what exactly is it that you're hiding? Dr. Makatoba, were you not too quietly withdraw after the translation of your former associate's will? In this courtroom, no argument carries weight unless it is supported by evidence. And it would seem that the defense has no more evidence to present. In which case, I hereby order all discourse from these proceedings to be struck from the record. This is my last chance. Can I examine the sword now? Is this the mighty Karuma? Twist thy head and watch them fall, all thy mortal foes. That's the proper way to use the sword, is it? Maybe I should try it. It hurts my neck. That's the trouble. Mr. Naruhodo, if I might make a suggestion. I think perhaps it doesn't mean your head. Oh! I once studied the history and the development of the katana some time ago, and as I'm sure you're probably aware, the sword's head is a part of the very end of the hilt. It's written as head in Japanese, but it's pronounced as kashira, I believe. Kashira. So Mr. Sogi's words really mean twist the butt of the hilt. You don't think. I was right earlier! It's in the sword! Look what's inside it. Is that a tightly wound sheet of parchment? There it is! Scarlet ink! It's written in scarlet ink! I penned this, my last will and testament, in the final moments before my inevitable and willing death. This is it. This isn't it. Mr. Naruhodo, look at the signature at the end. Clint Van Zieks. And the date? 10 years ago on that fateful night. So for 10 years, it's been silently concealed inside Karuma and nobody knew. The last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zieks. Wait. Oh my goodness. Look at this. This is unbelievable. The trump card left behind us. So, okay, I need to see it. The last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zieks has been hidden inside the Great Sword Karma for years. A trump card left by Genshin Isogi. I can't check it. They're waiting for the twist. Mr. Naruhodo, I have to present some decisive evidence now, or it's all over. But can I? Dude, that violin is so good, by the way. Wait, my lord. As it happens, the defense does have evidence to present. What? Don't be absurd! There's nothing of relevance remaining from the time!
Objection!
Show him the damn paper. It's high time you realize something, my lord. This gentleman has an uncanny habit of producing evidence at the final hour that had escaped everyone else's attention. Nonsense. What is it, Ryunosuke? What do you have? I love the fact that Kazuma didn't even get his father's final message, but we did. Kazuma couldn't have figured it out. Well, maybe he would have eventually, but he's in the heat of the moment. What do you have? I dare say, the final decisive piece of evidence that will reveal the whole truth about this rotten tale. How can you? Decisive. That's true, too. In canon, no one is having a moment to think right now. It would appear that there's no escaping it now, my lord. Let it be so, then. Present whatever you think you have that can settle this decade-old enigma, if you're capable. What exactly is this evidence that the defense claims to be so decisive?
Take that!
There is a single piece of evidence that can clarify what really happened 10 years ago. The last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. Ha! A wonderfully astute observation, I'm sure. But in case it escaped your notice, the document was lost long ago. That's right, it was. Only, I have it right here, discovered just moments ago. Impossible! It can't be! Everything that's happened comes back to this will. This document is the key that will unlock the entire mystery. Dude, I ain't never seen him look that way! My brother's last will and testament. Where did you find that? Dude, where is it? It was rolled up inside this. Inside Karuma? The ultimate weapon Genshin Asogi obtained his lain undisturbed in the hilt of the sword all these years. Just waiting for the right time to emerge and reveal the truth. The signature and seal certainly look official. Oh, he'll know his brother's. My God, it's true. It's my brother's handwriting. There can be no mistake. I forbid the contents of that document from being read out! Do you hear me? I strictly forbid it!
Objection!
You can't do that, my lord. This document could explain everything. That document could literally destroy the meaning of justice in this country! I demand that you hand it to me at once! Why? What are you trying to hide? Could it be that you already know what's written on this page? Ugh, what are you implying? Court is adjourned with immediate effect! Clear the courtroom!
Objection!
Do that, my lord, and you'll suffer a fatal blow as Lord Chief Justice. I beg your pardon? Forcibly ending a trial without good reason, and not any trial, a closed trial by order of Her Majesty the Queen. To defy the monarch's will is treason! Ugh. Dude, this is so good. Lord Clint Van Zeeks really did pen a will that day. It's exactly as the young Japanese man said. Read it out, now! We have a right to hear what's in that will, a right and a duty. Well, well, my lord. It would rather appear as though proceedings aren't going to go quite as you'd hoped. You fools! Go ahead, Ryunosuke, read it! The prosecution gives its full support. Very well, then. No! For God's sake! No! Dude, what a stance. I pen this, my last will and testament, in the final moments before my inevitable and willing death. The hour is 11 p.m. and I sit at my writing desk in my office. My good friend Asogi stands at my shoulder. He has expressed his intent to invoke the dying ritual of the duel, that I may depart this world with honor. An honor of which I am utterly undeserving. The Japanese are a truly unmerciful people. I, Clint Van Zeeks, Lord of the Manor of the Van Zeeks estate, hereby confess to the following. I am the killer who has come to be known in society as the Professor, guilty of 4 counts of murder. I will not here discourse the corruption rife among the aristocracy, which is to me one of them so apparent. However, 6 months ago, I took the life of a member of the House of the Lords at the heart of the depravity. A demon who habitually sacrificed the common man to further his own interests, abusing his position of power. The law is impotent against such vile artifice. Only a fellow demon can rid society of this menace. That demon was my quarry, upon whom I willingly set my great hound. But though I am a hunter of some experience, I am a poor felon, it seems. My guilt was at once recognized by another, and I became subject to his extortion. He held over me the threat of exposing my wicked crime to my beloved wife and brother. Under that threat, I have done this man's bidding for months now, killing those he demanded I kill. No! As I watched my former mentor perish before my eyes at the jaws of the hound I commanded, I realized that I had lost the last shred of decency within me and sunk to the level of a wild beast. There is no path back to the light. Be it I or my dear friend Asogi who dies this night, I am eternally damned. To my extortioner, Male Strongheart, may you feel the jaws of the beast at your throat every time you swallow. Bro, it really was him! No 11th hour twist, it was Strongheart. But it was still Clint, too. So we know! Yes, Clint Van Zeeks was a murderer. But somebody was directing him and naming his victims. His extortioner, Lord Male Strongheart. It was you! Lord Strongheart, a moment ago. You claimed what the court has just heard could destroy my microphone! Why did that fall? Oh no. Where is... Oh, this is not good. Where'd the cord go? The cord of my microphone has completely disappeared. Give me a moment. Can anyone hear me, by the way? Where did it go? Hello? Wait a minute. Is this my... Okay, wait, So wait a minute. Has my microphone been unplugged all this time? Ow. Oh wait, is this it? Oh, hold on, I have the wrong cord. I was really confused for a second. How long has that been unplugged? Okay, 1 second. Why Hello? Okay, so... I wonder how long I have been using the wrong microphone? I'm probably gonna sound 100% different now.
Oh my god, how long has my microphone been switched? I didn't even realize it wasn't glowing anymore. That's why it fell off. It wasn't even plugged in. Oh my god. Anyway. Lord Strongheart, a moment ago, you claimed that what this court has just heard could destroy justice in this country. But you weren't trying to protect justice at all. You're trying to do was conceal the secret of your true nature and the countless lives you sacrificed up till now. It just didn't make sense to me. That's the third victim. The former Lord Chief Justice was my brother's benefactor, and a man of lofty principles. As I said, Clint had no possible reason to kill the man! But you did, didn't you, Lord Strongheart? To eliminate the man who stood between you and the office you'd set your sights on. To use your own hunting dog, Lord Clint Van Zeeks, to take him down. It had to be done. London's unsavory shadows are deep, and the arm of the law fails to reach their depths. Crime must be cut off at the roots, but the Lord Chief Justice at the time couldn't see that. He was weak. Lofty principles, you say. Tantamount to cowardice, if you ask me. Which is why I took his place, in order to fight the crime he was allowing to spread like wildfire. By murdering the man, the Reaper, the Professor, the name makes no difference. As I've explained countless times already, it was all done for the furtherance of law and order in London.
Objection.
Are you going to legitimize the murder of my father now, too? Ah, Genshin Asogi. Well, that was unfortunate. I had fully intended to send him back to Japan, as we'd agreed. I don't believe you. It was you, wasn't it? You killed him! No, it wasn't me who took your father's life. Then who? On the night following his mock execution, I went to locate cemetery at 3 in the morning with Jigoku. Judge Jigoku? There had to be a collaborator on the Japanese side to manage Asogi's treatment after his reparlation. Jigoku had fierce ambition. It made him easy to manipulate. 10 years ago, after he'd stood trial for the destruction of the witness stand, I had words with him. When I told him the position of Minister of Foreign Affairs could be his, he couldn't agree fast enough. Chihiro, you fool. As you know, Asogi escaped the prison in a closed casket and was subsequently interred. We intended to dig him out of his grave before he ran out of air. But sadly, all did not go to plan. Ah! There was an unexpected visitor to the cemetery with his own ideas about digging up graves. A man who witnessed what nobody was supposed to see. Enoch Dribber. Of course, I knew grave robbers frequented London cemeteries. But that grave on that particular night... Blast! If people find out the convict wasn't really executed, this guy will rock the very foundations of the Empire. Then what do we do? Shoot him, Mr. Jigoku! Shoot Asogi at once! He can't live now that this has happened. He has to go! What are you talking about? You had an agreement! You promised me you could return to Japan! Everything has changed now. If the truth got out because of this, both of us would be finished. Forever. Come on, Jigoku, do it! Pull the trigger! Shoot! No! It was Jigoku that killed Asogi? Oh, that son of a bitch. Jigoku shot Asogi from the shadows. The grave robber was so close, the blood sprayed over his coat. He fled as fast as his legs would carry him. Then Jigoku and I put Asogi's body back in the grave from which he just emerged. When I later learnt of the waxwork modeler's presence at the scene as well, I made her swear to two things. Never to remove the professor's mask, and never to speak of the events of that night. And with that, the secret was buried along with Asogi's corpse. So, now you know what really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night. Bro. It was Jigoku, your Japanese acquaintance, who killed Asogi in the end, you see. He claimed to be the man's friend, but when push came to shove, he pulled the trigger. Just before Mr. Jigoku left the courtroom earlier, he said that the assassin exchange proposal was a demand from his British counterpart, not a request. So you coerced him too, using what happened in the graveyard. By that time, Jigoku was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, negotiating international treaties with Britain. You can imagine what would have happened if it came to light he murdered a compatriot 10 years earlier. He would have lost everything. I merely reminded him of that. How do you sleep at night? These past 10 years, I've fought tirelessly with the darker recesses of London's criminal underworld. And I've used whatever means necessary to ensure that justice prevails and law and order reigns supreme.
Objection!
That couldn't be further from the truth. The fact is, you haven't fought crime at all. How dare you! I saved Clint Van Zieks from dishonor in his death!
Objection!
While it's behind the scenes, you systematically buried anyone who stood in your way. And then, you made my father take the blame. It was unavoidable! It was the only way to protect our justice system and public order! Let's not forget the others you had killed as well. Setting the defendant up as the Reaper to cover up the truth behind the murders of countless more. That's enough! Do you have any idea of the conniving that led to the acquittals of those wretched criminals? We have to fight fire with fire! Our courts can't function without a Reaper! Can't you see all I've done for this country? This has been my struggle!
Objection!
You've done nothing!
Fire!
It's Lord Van Zieks here who worked tirelessly and justly in court while is enduring the disgrace of the Reaper's name.
Oh no.
And Inspector Gregson fought with anguish for having sullied his hands through a desire to do the right thing. Not to mention Genshin Asogi, who risked his life going in pursuit of the truth you tried to hide. No, the darker recesses of London's underworld were largely filled by you. You little... When will you get it through your thick skulls? Dude, he's looking about ready to have an actual coronary. That was all for the Queen and country? I'm tiring of that excuse. You constantly twisted the truth for bargaining power to make others do your bidding, nothing more.
Be gone, fuck!
People who willingly twist the truth and coerce others have no right to call themselves part of the judiciary. I strongly suggest you don't ever talk of justice again. Look at him up there. Never did I think this game would twist around this much from the beginning. Are you gonna have your breakdown? You have to go Super Saiyan 5. Well, well, well! Dear me, my good fellows, dear me! A well-deserved round of applause, I think, for a quite marvelous performance! What are you talking about? Those delightfully grave expressions, that beautifully pronounced Queen's English! Really, our friends of the Far East are quite the picture of industriousness! You fraud! Keep your mockery! Please don't misunderstand. It really is exactly as you both said. What are you trying to say? I have occupied the darker recesses of London's underworld and, how do you put it, done nothing? I confess it's a little embarrassing to have it pointed out quite so starkly, but yes, I really have done nothing, which means I can be indicted for nothing. No? What? It's true! Personally, I have committed no crime. I've merely been surrounded by fools who've acted very rashly indeed.
Objection.
You can't get away with that. You've constantly preyed on people's weaknesses.
And what? Threatened them? Are you sure it wasn't just bargaining? I would like to address all the good lords, ladies and gentlemen of the judiciary here present. You all know of these darker recesses in our great capital, and deep down I believe you also know that to fight those who dwell there requires at least some of us to occupy the darkness ourselves. So let me appeal to your good sense now. Consider the situation with me. If this catalog of horrifying revelations were to become common knowledge among the 6 million inhabitants of London, what might happen? To learn that the infamous murderer of royals and nobles was the respected member of the aristocracy himself. That evidence was fabricated in the scapegoat's trial amid the secret negotiations with prosecutors to effect a jailbreak. That the Reaper of the Bailey was an organized group of assassins managed by a Scotland Yard inspector. And finally, that it was all masterminded by the Lord Chief Justice himself.
If the general public of Britain knew the truth, all faith in the police and the prosecutor's office would be completely lost, without doubt.
Public order of the capital would be completely break down. We'd be cast back to the lawless days of the last century. Precisely as it was 100 years ago, when 1 in 10 of the population were criminals. Think of what we've accomplished since then. A public policing force, a comprehensive set of laws. And if we want to continue to protect this new era of law and order, I say again, we must at times occupy the darkness ourselves. We have successfully identified and apprehended the man responsible for taking Inspector Gregson's life. That is all that was expected of this trial. All of these other matters that have been discussed will be eliminated from the minutes of these proceedings in the interests of preserving law and order, and to protect Her Majesty the Queen, of course. Well, my lords, ladies, and gentlemen, what say you?
He has a point. The things Lord Strongheart has done are quite unforgivable. But on the other hand, isn't our duty to maintain law and order in the capital? You can't deny that the threat of the Reaper over the years has done wonders for the crime rate. It's like Batman. And by the fair means or foul, it's all thanks to Lord Strongheart. No! Are you hearing this? This is the will of the British judiciary?
For your rousing response, friends, I express my heartfelt gratitude. Therefore, in accordance with the overwhelming wishes of the court, the records shall be erased.
You have to respect the man's ability to turn a situation to his favor. Lord Strongheart really is a master of manipulation. You've conclusively proven his guilt, yet he manages to evade justice. I just don't know what we can do. Ryunosuke! It looks like the trial really is going to come to an end now. I'm almost out of options, I think. There's really only one path left open to me. I know what I'm doing. I don't know what it's gonna be, but I know what I'm doing. Yes, I know only too well. The only thing that carries any weight in court is hard evidence. But, Mr. Naruhodo, what evidence is there to use at this stage in the trial? I have an idea. I don't know whether anything will come of it, but if there was ever a time for using this particular item we have amongst the evidence, it's now.
Take that!
Oh my, yes! Mr. Sholmes asked if you had that with you earlier. We've exposed all of Lord Strongheart's wrongdoings now. I have no doubt that Mr. Sholmes had already deduced exactly how the truth would unfurl. So I think it must be time for the great detective to take center stage, don't you? Yes, absolutely. Let's take the hair by the ears then, and heave! Alright, here goes. Heave! Ow, 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 ow! My dear fellows, as I remind you every time, a gentle tug will suffice. Mr. Sholmes, you're looking in quite the wrong direction, Mr. Naruhodo. Because I'm over here. What? Where? Huh? Mr. Naruhodo, he's... What? It's Mr. Sholmes! Wait, he's a hologram? In the 19th century? How? I wasn't expecting you back, Sholmes. Delighted to be here again, Lord Strongheart. What? What is the meaning of this? Betty left, seize him! Put the man in irons! This is a closed court! You've been warned once already, man! What the? We can't get on, my lord! We just go after him! Dude, he's dancing! I'm afraid your efforts are wasted, you see? I'm dead! The great detective you see before you is composed entirely of light and shadow. An image, if you will. He's emoting on... Mr. Naruhodo must congratulate you on your fine deductions. Mr. Sholmes, what on earth is... Are you familiar, I wonder, with the invention known as the telephone? Well, yes. I hear that some public telephones have been installed recently in Tokyo. The sound of the speaker's voice is converted into an electrical signal and transmitted instantly to another place. Quite. Sounds are transmitted, so could not images keep them company, I am mused? Iris and I did some modest experimentation to develop such a device specifically for this very day. Modest experimentation, Mr. Sholmes. What a modest description. And somewhat incidentally, I thought we might just as well transmit an entire scene. Somewhat incidentally, Mr. Sholmes. Now you're just being immodest. Do you mean to say you're not actually here, Sholmes? Ah, I knew my trusty partner would have no trouble grasping the concept. Except he's grasping the stand to ready himself after your shock arrival. Poor father. I would have hoped he might have been forewarned, being the great detective's great partner. Leave my courtroom at once! Get out or I swear to you! Dear me, you on the other hand, Lord Strongheart, appear to have a very poor grasp of the situation. Allow me to reiterate, I am not here, which would, I hope, lead naturally to one asking, where exactly are you? Very question I was awaiting. I am at present enjoying the air in a rather splendid garden. A garden? Not just any garden, you understand. A garden at Buckingham Palace. Oh, shit! What? He's in the Queen's front yard! What? You can't be! Buckingham Palace? What's Buckingham Palace, Masasato? I've never heard of it. Bro, we gotta educate the idiots here. Do you ever read the news, Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Sholmes. Is Iris with you there? Ah, well now, Iris is currently enjoying some tea. With Her Majesty. Her Majesty? Not just any Her Majesty, you understand. Her Majesty, the Queen of the British Empire. What? What? He's Fortnite dancing in front of the Queen. What on earth is this all about? Buckingham Palace is Her Majesty the Queen's residence in London, Mr. Naruhodo. Order! Order in the court! I demand immediate silence! Her Majesty the Queen! You can't be! I mean, no! This is some sort of unforgivable, distasteful trickery by a third-rate detective, that's all! Unforgivably distasteful trickery? What an apt description!
A closed court session attended by elite members of the judiciary is a rare event. I presume that Her Majesty would be more than a little curious about the proceedings. So, I decided to show her. Everything. From start to finish. Huh, what? You showed her? Indeed. By the dint of Herlock Sholmes' remote cinematograph. You meddling! This is some kind of nightmare. And just as I appear to be standing before you, regaling you with talk of my latest invention, no doubt you've inferred that the reverse is also true. You don't mean... Her Majesty has seen and heard every moment of the proceedings. I assume there would be no objection. After all, every trial in this country is conducted under the auspices of Her Majesty, as you know. You! I confess I am quite impatient to hear Her Majesty's opinion about the unforgivably distasteful trickery in which you have engaged over the past 10 years. No! I was merely... Oh, so sorry to keep you all waiting. Vicky and I had so much to talk about. Queen Victoria? Iris, there you are. Oh my god. In fact, I have a little message here from Her Majesty. Oh god. This is like the 11.5-hour twist. A message. Well then, if everyone is sitting comfortably, forthwith and with immediate effect, all authority previously afforded to Male Strongheart is hereby revoked for evermore. Furthermore, he will be prosecuted for crimes against his country in a public trial by jury in the coming days. So, it seems that Her Majesty doesn't believe we need to fight fire with fire. Justice in this country needn't be administered from the shadows at all. Male Strongheart, the darkness you fostered to conceal your despicable actions these last 10 years is a thing of the past now. It would be hilarious, honestly. After today, your brand of law and order has no future, because no longer are you the Lord Chief Justice. And in the eyes of the law and of Her Majesty the Queen, you are nothing but a criminal. Adjourned! 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 Court is adjourned! Oh! Dang, well... Oh my god. Dude, I think that might be the most over-the-top breakdown I have ever seen in this entire series. That was a lot. My god, is he gone? My throat is killing me. Oh, he's still here! Lord Clint Van Zeeks left a will in which he confessed to everything. When those words came out of Asogi's mouth, it deranged me completely. I knew I must do anything and everything in my power to contain the situation. But I couldn't find the damn document. I searched his cell, but it wasn't there. Which precipitated the jailbreak plot, I assume. What do you mean? The need to obtain that will was all-consuming. I was sure that if I facilitated Asogi's escape, he would emerge with the will somewhere on his person. But despite searching his limp body in the cemetery that night, it still eluded me. It never even crossed my mind that it was concealed in the sword's hilt. It's a good thing I split this case in half, but I probably could have done some more of it yesterday. Goodness gracious. What pains me now is that my brother left this world without a word to me. I'm sorry, Lord Van Zeeks. In point of fact, I think perhaps that isn't the case. Sorry? How can that be? There is more to his last will and testament. What? We have even more. As I confront the prospect of my demise, I feel bitter regret for my younger brother. Barrack, you have always looked up to me, and now you follow in my footsteps to become a prosecutor. It is my fervent wish that my unspeakable deeds should not hinder your advancement. I ask not for understanding, for none could understand my depravity. I ask only for forgiveness. Asogi is a fine detective and a hunter worthy of respect. He has agreed to honor my final 2 wishes. The first is that this document survives. The second, I cannot commit to paper. I have confessed my sins to my wife. She may find resolution in my death. With my eternal gratitude to my Japanese friend, I rest my quill. Clint Van Zeeks. Clint. Male Strongheart, you concluded with Shihiro Jigoku in a criminal plot so immense it spanned the oceans, and you cold-heartedly murdered all those who knew the truth about what happened 10 years ago. But why did you set about that now, a whole decade later? To ascend to the very peak. These last 10 years made me realize being the Lord Chief Justice wasn't enough. Short of becoming Her Majesty's Attorney General, I could have no real power to effect the changes needed in this country. And for that promotion, I needed to ensure no remnants of the past remained. How could you? I like everything to run smoothly, in the exact manner that I prescribe, like a well-oiled machine. And I was just a step away. And for your ambition to succeed, did you even bother to count the number of brilliant people you had killed? Ah, Mr. Reaper, are you not forgetting something? Such as? You very much adopted your usual prosecutor-like demeanor in the proceedings now. But the reality of the situation is that you are the defendant in this trial. Ah! However, the presiding judge would appear to have fallen from the bench, as it were. May I suggest, therefore, that we entrust the final adjudication to an old friend? My lord. As a member of the judiciary, I have been following the proceedings from the gallery. And I must say, I shan't ever forget the extraordinary battle between good and evil that I witnessed here today. This feels good to see. The darkness that has blighted justice in our land these past 10 years has at last been dispelled. Thanks, in no small part, to the efforts of a bright young star from the East. Defense Counsel Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. On behalf of everyone here present in the Old Bailey, I give you my heartfelt thanks. You're too kind, my lord. It's the first time I faced you in the court, just under a year ago now. I had the faintest of intimidation. What? That if British justice, so warped and twisted over its long history, was finally to no change. This might just be the man to do it. What? But at the time, I wouldn't allow myself to acknowledge the possibility. I couldn't overcome my hatred of the Japanese after the circumstances of my brother's death. Mr. Naruhodo, allow me to apologize for countless discourtesies on my part. You are a lawyer of boundless talent. Oh, Lord Van Zeeks. When I first arrived in Great Britain, I was literally a nobody. Certainly not a lawyer. The truth is, my fortunes have entirely been made by the miraculous people I've met. My best friend, Kazuma Asogi, who led me here to Britain in the first place. My loyal and ever-patient jujitsu assistant, Masasato, who helped me study to become a lawyer. The brilliant Lord Van Zeeks, who never failed to challenge his Nipponese rival. And not to mention, the exceptional master of logic and reasoning who showed me the true art of deduction, Mr. Sholmes. Saving the best for last, Mr. Naruhodo! What a relief. I'm well aware that without all of these people's help and support, I wouldn't be where I am today. And the truth is a guiding light that always leads to happiness. I've lived by that principle for a long time now, but actually, it's not true. The truth can also cause great pain, sometimes even leave people on the brink of despair. And for that reason, there are those who feel the need to hide the truth. Who do it instinctively even. But as soon as we allow our eyes to settle on something other than the truth, the darkness takes hold, and from there it grows until eventually it makes us blind to the guiding light of the truth altogether. So that's why it's my belief that we must all resolve never to avert our eyes from what is just and true. Slap. So that we can continue to walk the straight and narrow path ahead. Well, I must excuse myself now. But before I go, Mr. Naruhodo, let me compliment you on your grand opus. What? Without your beautifully composed case against Lord Strongheart, Her Majesty would have been unable to act. Thanks to you and your fellows. The haunting undertones of corrupting British justice system have been silenced. Thank you very much. So, until our paths cross again somewhere. Well then, it would appear that this long trial has finally come to an end. Thank the Queen. My apologies for any anxiety caused, my lord. I'm quite sure we shall meet again here in the courtroom before long, Prosecutor Barak von Zeeks. In conclusion of these proceedings, I hereby declare the defendant, Barak von Zeeks, not guilty! Good God. What an eternity. A trial so long it took freaking 2 chapters to tell. And we still have the epilogue of the story. That is all! Court is adjourned! Get out quick before something else happens! Oh my god. No, I said stop! That was only a 6-hour it was a 6-hour trial in canon for this day alone. 6 hours of that. Because it started at 9:30. Is it really all over? But did I sacrifice too much? Mr. Naruhodo, I really must congratulate you. It was truly splendid performance. Honestly, I couldn't be happier for you. Oh, thank you so very much, but I couldn't have done it without you at my side through it all, Miss Sasato. No. Your kind words mean so much to me. It really was a very splendid show, that, Naruhodo. I'd have thought you'd be smiling from ear to ear, but you look rather glum. Well, of course I'm delighted about the verdict, but in exposing the truth, I'm afraid I've caused my client a great deal of pain. I'm really not sure that's what a lawyer ought to be doing. Oh, well, in that case, I'm quite sure that when you see Lord Van Zeek's smiling face, everything will seem much better.
Well, in this session. So, actually, no, it was probably longer, actually, now that I think about it. Because it started technically yesterday, I think. I don't know. Was it all one day? No, there was a break. So, it was just today's stream. Masasato, everything seems worse. He has his face like thunder. Oh dear. I really shouldn't have presumed. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Almost a year it's been now since I first encountered you here in this very courthouse. For you to have risen to the level of excellence you demonstrated today, well, it's quite remarkable. But I suppose the most unpalatable truth you could ever have imagined in court today. I feel as though I've robbed you of something you held so dear. What was it he said? To fight those who dwell in the darkness requires at least some of us to occupy the darkness ourselves. But that was just the feeble excuse of a coward. Only those with a steadfast eye for the truth have what it takes to fight the dark forces of crime. You made fine work of establishing that fact in court today. Oh. Well, thank you. What magnanimous words. I'm quite sure that Kazuma-sama would have a smile on his face if he were here. Kazuma. No, he's even angrier! Wow. Misasato. There's another face like thunder here. Oh my, and he really was here. Lord Van Zeeks. Allow me to congratulate you on your acquittal. Congratulate me, or curse me. You failed to bring down the Reaper. I owe you an apology. No, it is I who should apologize. Your father, Genshin. If I had been stronger, then perhaps I made an unforgivable error in judgment. I can offer no excuse. And I can offer no forgiveness. That said, I suppose you fought for justice and the truth. For that, at least, I can't withhold respect. Your words mean more to me than you could know. I will hold them dear. Kazuma-sama. I must say, if there's one thing that's still bothering me, what's that? The will that Lord Clint Van Zeeks wrote before his duel with my father. What about it? There's a lot about it. Asogi is a fine detective and a hunter worthy of respect. He has agreed to honor my final two wishes. The first is that this document survives. The second, I cannot commit to paper. I have confessed my sins to my wife. May she find resolution in my death. With my eternal gratitude to my Japanese friend, I rest my quill. Clint Van Zeeks. The second promise. What can the second of his final wishes have been? Is that your father agreed to honor, you mean? I think perhaps... Who's speaking? Oh, it's Mikatoba. I might be able to shed some light on that. What? Father? It was 10 years ago, as you know, the day before the execution was scheduled. I went to the prison to say my farewells to Genshin. So did Genshin tell him? Why aren't you putting up more of a fight, Genshin? If you only agreed to it, Chihiro and I would gladly petition the government. We've been through this already. You don't need to worry about me. Anyway, Yujin, I have a favor to ask you. Something of great importance. You're one of my greatest friends, Genshin. Whatever it is, consider it done. I'm going to tell you an address. I need you to go there at once, in secret and telling no one. You should find a lady of Gentry in hiding there. Who? A lady of the Gentry. She's not in a good way, and she's with child. The birth is imminent. As a medical man, I'd like you to attend to her. Please, you're her only hope. No, wait,
Oh, hold on. Just I'll let it. I'll stop and let it go. By any chance, is the child yours, Genshin? Don't be daft. It's a favor that was asked of me by a man I knew, as his dying wish. My goodness! I swore to the man that I would help. That I would do whatever I could for his wife and his unborn child. No. The unborn child is Iris. So Iris's dad all this time was Clint Van Zieks. But if something should happen to me, I need to ask you that same favor. You're the only person I know that I can truly rely on. But what did you say? If something should happen to you, tomorrow night you're going to be You never know, though, do you? What life will bring. Alright then. Tell me the address. I'll head there at once. With Shishiro. No, not with him. Pardon? This is a favor I'm asking of you. And only you, Yujin. Right. I see. Very well then. Bro, he is Uncle. That very night I caught a train from Paddington to Dartmoor in Devon. I found the old house in the middle of nowhere. It was an old hunting house, and an old hunting hound lay asleep in the grounds. Wait, or maybe it isn't? I don't know. Or is it his... the poor woman was on the floor at the back of the darkened room. She was in mortal danger. I broke her waters to precipitate the labor before she weakened further, but it was a torturous birth. I did everything humanly possible for her and her child. So that's how his wife died. She didn't take her life, she died in childbirth. And in the end, I was lucky enough to welcome a new life into the world. But tragically, my efforts to save the mother's life were in vain. I held the healthy newborn girl in my arms and wept for longer than I care to remember. Eventually, in something of a daze, I looked around in the room. There was precious little in it, but an old travel trunk caught my eye. I'd really been well looked after over the years, made of top-quality leather with fine stitching. But it was when I saw the emblem on the side of it that everything dropped into place. B for Baskerville. Baskerville? You mean the woman was the wife of Lord Clint Van Zieks? That's right. The newborn was his daughter. But that makes no sense! Why on earth wouldn't Clint have entrusted the child to my care in that case? I was completely unaware he even had a daughter! I suppose he didn't really have any choice. What? Well, your brother said that he'd confessed everything to his wife, so she must have been beside herself with worry for her child. If the true identity of the professor were ever to be made public, the girl would be forever branded as the daughter of the infamous mass murderer. Ah! So the only solution was to distance the young girl from the Van Zieks family as much as possible. I don't believe it. I imagine that in his final hour, Lord Clint Van Zieks made the obvious choice. He would have thought to himself, this Japanese man here is someone I can trust. I honored my promise to Genshin, of course. However, only a month later, I was summoned back to Japan, and without disclosing the parentage of the child, I couldn't obtain permission to take her with me. Oh, how awful. I was completely at a loss. In the end, I had to ask my great friend. I asked him if he would be a father to her. That being Mr. Sholmes, I presume. Yes. He took one look in my eyes and agreed to do it on the spot. Mr. Sholmes. He has a heart of gold. Really, all it can be said that I did for the child was to give her a name. Oh. When I'd come to Britain, I was trying to escape from the grief of losing my darling wife. So it was her name that I gave the little girl. Your wife's name, Professor Mikotoba. In other words, the name of my mother.
Ayami Mikatoba. Oh! Wait, that's right. Ayami. Or in English, Iris. Iris. I had no idea. What? Ouch! Naruhodo, what's wrong? This little thing just pinched me on the behind through my trouser pocket hard. Ah, my dear fellows, can you hear me? Mr. Sholmes, is that you? Ouch! Yes, yes, we can hear you. You see what excessive tugging can do. Let that be a lesson to you. Mr. Sholmes, we weren't able to thank you properly before, but you were simply marvelous. Your checkmate move was a stroke of genius. Indeed it was, wasn't it? I surpassed myself, I feel. It had become apparent to me that to stop the Lord Chief Injustice will require such measures. Runo, Susie! Oh, Iris. Oh, I'm so pleased. What a wonderful outcome. Her Majesty Queen Vicky said she thought my special blend was delicious. Oh, well, I'm sure she did. After all, no one brews a more delicious tea than you, Iris. Let's have a party celebrate. And Mr. Reaper, you said we must come too. What? I'm afraid I couldn't. The Reaper of the Bailey, flustered by a 10-year-old girl. Again. No, really? Oh, pooh. But I give you my word that I shall present myself at your residence in the near future to express my gratitude. Oh, how lovely. You promise now. I won't let you forget. Bye for now, then. Alright, Iris. Thank you for all your help earlier. Oh, that was nothing. Just come back home soon. Ouch! Oh, one final pinch goodbye, was it? That's all it was, too. Well, everybody knows now. Well, I think I ought to be leaving. Lord Van Zeeks, would you care to accompany me? Certainly. New friends. Mr. Naruhodo, allow me once again to express my deep gratitude to you. I believe you saved my life. Wait, Lord Van Zeeks! Yes. What are you intending to do now? Well, clearly, I shall have to resign from the prosecutor's office. Oh no! I intend to publicize the full truth about the professor case. Once that's done, the Van Zeeks family will be ostracized completely from London society. Wait, what? Surely not. So as soon as I am free from my employment, I shall leave the capital. Oh, I see. Don't be a fool. Are those the actions of a man once feared as the mighty Reaper of the Bailey? I beg your pardon. For the past 10 years, you've endured that pseudonym and been cast as one of the dark forces yourself. Now that you've finally been freed from that disrepute, your battle is just beginning, surely. Well, I certainly never expected to hear those words from your lips. I waited a very long time to come to London. Now I'm properly here. I intend to learn all that I can. Anyway, goodbye for now, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Kazuma Asogi. It seems as though he's really matured suddenly. He's not the only one who's matured. Mr. Naruhodo. Well, I think we should make our way back to Baker Street. We must help Iris with tonight's dinner. We must. It was then that I came to an important decision about my future. Oh, right, yeah. That question I didn't want to think about. 4th of November, 6:25 p.m., Sholmes Suite. I'm home. Oh, no! Ah! About time you got here. We waited ages, Otto. What are you doing with that colorful piece of history? It's a party, ain't it? You gotta go off with a bang. I mean, fireworks, ideally. But you ain't got fire, smoke's the next best thing, ain't it?
There's a girl on Fresno Street who could help you with that, I think. What? I'll remember that. You don't have to reload that thing every time I speak. You really must hear this. It's quite the extraordinary thing. Who's talking? Wait. I assure you, it will defy your expectations. Take down every detail now, Megatoba. Ah, the world-famous great detective regaining his partner with the tale, regaling his partner with the tale of his adventure, a sight to behold. Would you care to hazard a guess? Where do you suppose the fiendish runaway had concealed himself? Would you believe? Inside the trunk I had found abandoned in his cabin. I would believe it, yes. I say, Megatoba, I detect not a hint of surprise. I wonder why that is, Maybe because I was there at the scene as well, Sholmes. What? You were? Then why the deuce did you say so before? Not quite the sight I was expecting to behold, but still. It's hard not to feel privileged to see it. Hello, Mr. Sholmes, Professor Megatoba. I'm finally back from the Bailey. Ah, not a moment too soon. I have feast prepared by my Iris and Miss Sasato awaits. I must say, I haven't seen Sasato looking so happy in a very long time. Ah, Runo, there you are. There's our table, everyone. Please do come and have a take a seat. Time to fill me boots! Wait, why is Jenna here? I mean, it's fine to see her, but, like, why? Goodness, is that really true, Jenna? Yep, I'm losing me coppers, cobbling, going back to what I know best. It's a diver's life for me. You're really leaving the police force, but why, Jenny? Well, the boss ain't around no more, so... Oh. And anyway, no matter how odd it's why, that Reaper ain't ever gonna accept a diver-turned dick, is he? What? Excuse me? Well, people can change, you know. Ah, yes, that reminds me. I rather thoughtfully offered to relive the bailiff of his now defunct piece of evidence. It's the inspector's pocket watch, and the crown's been reattached. That watch was his pride and joy, a symbol of his great achievements at Scotland Yard. For 10 years without fail, it measured every second of the man's remarkable career. But now, it's stopped. Someone needs to keep the memory of Inspector Gregson's career alive, by taking on the great responsibility of winding that watch every single day again. Yes! Someone with an equally fierce detective spirit. It's gonna be me, ain't no one else! Quite right. I mean, after all, the boss was... Well, he was my boss. Yes, Jenny, yes he was. Oh yeah, and I made you a promise and all, didn't I, Iris? That I'd become a proper detective one day and track down your old man. Oh. Alright then, it's decided. I'll do it. And I swear, I'll find your dad and bring him back kicking and screaming. Oh, well, about that. I'm not entirely sure that would be appropriate. Yes, I think, Jenna, it might be best to... Well, I think I'd like you to forget that promise, Jenny. Iris? She knows. Well, obviously I've always wondered about who my real daddy is. Of course I have. I want to know where I've come from. I thought it might tell me something about myself. But I caused a lot of trouble trying to find out. For so many people. Hurley, Runo, Professor Mickey. Oh no, not at all, my dear. Really, you owe me no apology. You know no apology to anyone. Well, anyway, I've decided to give up on it. Because I finally realized my daddy is the greatest in the world. I don't think it matters what his name is or where he's from. Don't you agree? Hurley? Oh, there you go. Is he gonna be that daft? I wonder. With every word, Iris. Thank you, Hurley. Thank you, Daddy. Oh, so cute. Now melt, Sholmes. I think, Megatoba? Yes, Sholmes?
I think that I ought to express my gratitude to you. Oh. For 6 years, you and I solved many a mystery together, and during that time I remember countless expressions of gratitude for our good services. But a moment ago, I heard the most pleasing expression of gratitude of them all, and I should never have experienced it, were it not for you. You old softy, Sholmes. But I must confess, it's a weight off my mind to hear you say it. Well then, I think this calls for a lengthy violin recital, wouldn't you say? Oh, well, the food would go cold. That's the only problem. Maybe next week, Hurley. Shut down. Are you sure a week is long enough, Iris? Oh, God, what a great character. Even amidst the most troubling of cases, even reeling from the most shocking of revelations, returning in the evening to his suite of rooms, there's always warmth and happiness to be had. The home of the world's greatest detective. And my home, too, with my greatest family. I don't want freaking Ryunosuke to leave. I feel like he's gonna go back to Japan. I don't want him to. This attic room has been my home and office for almost a year now. I've certainly had some unforgettable experiences whilst I lived here. But I think now the time has come. Time to bid this place farewell. I'm gonna kill him. Naruhodo. Oh, it's him. I figured. Oh, Professor! Are you alone? I didn't hear any sound from Sasato's room. Yes, Sasato went out after dinner. Took a carriage. Something about an important matter she needed to take care of. Ah, I see. Ryu nosedive, please don't go. I wanted to thank you for what you did earlier. Oh? With Iris, I mean. When the subject of her father came up. Lord Clint Van Zeeks. I made up my mind many years ago never to tell her who her real father was. It's what was agreed with Genshin, after all. Lord Clint Van Zeek's final wishes before he died, you mean? Yes, I've had to take some rather drastic steps at times to protect that secret, you know? Calling Sasato back to Japan 6 months ago, for example. That's why. When I read Soseki-san's report about his final days in London, my heart nearly stopped. You stumbled across the crux of that terrible case, the dog's collar. The description of the Baskerville insignia left me in no doubt. Baskerville. If you decided to investigate that insignia, sooner or later you'd have made the connection to the Van Zeeks. And to make matters worse, Sasato knew of the unpublished story as well. The story that Iris had written based on my notes from the time. Ah, yes, the Hound of the Baskervilles. Exactly. It was a work of fiction, but based on the grim reality of a huge beast of a dog that being used as a murder weapon. A dog with the Baskerville family emblem around its neck. Armed with those two clues, I feared you and Sasato might arrive at the truth. So I invented that story about having collapsed to justify her leaving London and returning to Japan at once. All in the aid of halting any investigations you and she might have been contemplating. I see. Something I've never understood is why Sasato-san came across that manuscript in Japan, though. You know, Iris's Hound of the Baskerville story, I mean. Someone sent it to me. That was before Sasato left Japan. He was very troubled about what should be done about it, you see. I'd read it and carelessly left it on my desk, which is where Sasato came across it, of course. Ah. It was the only case Sholmes and I ever pursued that I didn't record in meticulous detail. I was stunned when I discovered that young Iris had pieced together so much of it by my paltry notes. Sholmes and I discussed the matter and decided that we couldn't allow the story's publication. At that point, I returned to the manuscript by the post to the Sholmes for safekeeping. Said you did all that to stop Iris from finding out the truth about her father. That's right, because Sholmes had told me how astute she'd become. However, having witnessed events in courts today, I must say my opinion has somewhat shifted. Oh? I think at some point in the future, The time will come for Iris to know the truth. And when it does, well, I believe it will be for the best. I think so too. Actually, Professor, I wanted to talk to you about something too. Judging from that expression, I'd say you've come to a decision, have you? Yes, I have. I will be returning with you to Japan. Are you quite sure? God dang it. I'm really only here as a substitute for Kazuma. But he's here in Britain now, as originally intended. The low-income student Naruhodo doesn't really have a right to stay, I think. I see. Looking back now, when I first arrived here in February... I hate this. My becoming a lawyer just seemed to be the way things turned out. With Kazuma, Sasato-san, and Mr. Sholmes all gently pushing me in that direction. I spent the best part of a year immersed in this world, but always aware of a seed of doubt inside me. Until today, standing in that courtroom earlier, all doubts vanished from my mind. I was totally focused. I was sure of my belief in my client, and I was sure I could see the trial through. At the end of it, I finally realized no one else chose this path for me. I chose it myself. Goodness gracious. The path of a defense lawyer, eh? Yes, that's what I am now. That's what I'll be going back with you to Japan as, and that's the path I'll be following for the rest of my life. Well, it sounds like you've made quite a resolution there. I have. Very well, then. I must say, it's extremely welcome news. I shall make arrangements for your return first thing tomorrow. Oh, but I don't imagine we'll depart for a few days. Not with the symposium having been cancelled now. Such a shame. Never mind, I'm sure there will be other opportunities in the future. Well then, I'll bid you good night. Standing there, he realized. No, she was there! No! I'm upset. Sasato-san! I just wanted to let you know I'm back. I can't. My heart is aching. Did you, hear what your father and I were discussing? I'm sorry, I did. Yes, I couldn't help but... Oh, how much did you hear? Well, from the part about Iris's real father, I think. In other words, from the beginning. So you've made up your mind. You'll return to Japan and continue working as a defense lawyer. Ah, yes, I'm sorry. I really should have consulted you about it. I did want to earlier this evening, actually, but you'd already gone out. Oh, no, that's quite alright. I already knew that it's what you decide, Naruhodo-san. You did? Sasato-san. Ah, yes? I suppose this means it has to be farewell soon. I suppose. You'll be a great help to Kazuma going forward. I mean, I know he's a brilliant lawyer, but he's new to the British courtroom. He'll certainly benefit greatly having a brilliant judicial assistant at his side. I'll do my very best. I wish I could say it, but I just can't. I can't ask her to come with me. After all, she was always supposed to be coming to Britain as Kazuma's assistant. But she can read his mind. It's growing late. We should both try to get some sleep. I'm sure you must be exhausted after today. Oh, yes. You're right. Exactly. Please stay. Before I retire, let me just say one more time. You really were quite splendid in court today. If you ask me, anyone who thinks of you as a substitute or a locum should be ashamed of themselves. Sasuto-san. Thank you. I'm thinking, now kiss. I don't think they will. I know. I'm gonna throw things. They must! You can't do this. No, you can't do this to me. No, not this place again! No, I hate this place. The port of Dover makes me sad. I can't believe this day's finally come. You're really leaving then, Runo? I'm afraid so, Iris. Thank you so much for everything. I don't know what I'll do without your wonderful cooking and delicious tea. Oh, I wish you weren't going. But you have to come back and visit. Say you will. Of course. I promise. There are the men. Well, it was a very brief reunion, but it was a pleasure to pursue a case with you again after so long. For a while, at least, it felt like old times. Yes, I suppose on reflection, there's something to be said for it. Having a little fun once in a while. I'll just go and say goodbye to the professor as well, I think. Alright, Iris, you do that. Well, you know Ice Light and his Xenoblade thoughts. Whoa, are we gonna have it talked this whole time now?
I've just checked, Naruhodo-san. Your luggage is already on board. Such a beautiful morning. Perfect for embarking on a journey, isn't it?
Before I set off, I'd just like to say how thankful I am for everything you've done for me. And give my warmest regards to Kazuma, please.
Actually, I think you ought to give him your regards in person, don't you?
Sorry? Ryunosuke.
Oh god, I forgot his voice was so deep!
Kazuma! What are you doing here?
Do you really think I'd miss my best friend's departure?
Thanks. To be honest, I'd been looking forward to our wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's capital, but,
Well, we'll have to save that for another time. Personally, I'm looking forward to facing you in court again.
Me too. But, we're both defense lawyers, so,
I'm going to become a prosecutor. I'll stay in Lord Van Zeek's tutelage for the time being, but before long, I intend to be just as formidable as the Reaper himself.
That's a weird shit.
Oh, I see.
Actually, Ryunosuke, I have a favor to ask.
Name it.
Oh.
I'd like you to take care of this for me for a while.
Karuma? Why?
Because I've seen it now. I've seen what's inside me. The demon that reared its ugly head that day. It was only for the briefest of moments. The last time I came face to face with that inspector. But it was unmistakable. I wanted to kill him. I've always known there are demons that live inside people. And now I know there is one in me.
Bro.
The fact that it very nearly consumed me is something I'll carry with me. Until the end of my days. While I devote my life to fighting those whose demons have got the better of them. As a prosecutor.
So, that's what you've resolved to do, is it?
Until I'm ready to face the demon within me. To slay it once and for all. I leave this in your care. If you'll take it.
Of course I will. I'll keep it by my side. Always. Until we meet again, then. You have your path to follow, and I have mine.
Naruhodo-san? The path you're going to follow from now on. I wonder if I might follow it at your side, and unless I'd be a burden.
I was wondering, because Karuma's like, nah, I'm not gonna be defending people no more.
What? I mean, I would very much like you to come with me.
Oh, you two.
But aren't you?
You're so predictable, Ryunosuke.
I am?
Honestly, you never change at all. But that's what I like about you.
You mean you knew about this?
It was the evening after Lord Van Zeek's trial came to an end. She came to see me at the prosecutor's office.
Really? Or when I had that conversation with Professor Mikotoba?
So, you'd go with Ryunosuke back to Japan?
Yes. I know it's unfair of me to follow my own interests like this.
Coming here especially to tell me. You're a stickler for etiquette, aren't you? Well, what are his feelings?
We've never discussed it, of course, and Naruhodo-san has made no such suggestion. I worry that perhaps I'd be a burden to him.
He's just as much of a stickler for etiquette as you are. He'd never say anything before he was asked. But I'd feel happy knowing you were with him. Look out for him on my behalf, will you?
Of course.
Susato-san.
What do you think, Naruhodo-san?
With you by my side, no trial would seem too daunting. So if you're willing, I'd be honored if you'd come with me. Together we can take on the world.
I'm terribly incompetent, but if you'll have me, I'd be delighted.
Bro, these two really have no self-esteem in themselves at all. They're both terrible.
No, not at all. If anyone's terribly incompetent, it's me.
There we go. See what I mean?
Ah!
What was...
What's wrong?
Your luggage, Susato-san. There's no time. The ship's going to set sail any minute now.
It's all right. There's no need to worry. As it happens, my luggage is already on board too.
It is?
Your fine judicial assistant has everything in hand as always, I see.
Oh.
Bruno, your ship's about to leave.
Oh, that's what Iris sounds like?
Time to go then. Look after yourself, Ryunosuke.
Kazuma, draw your sword.
Wait, what? Are they gonna touch tips? Please don't. Close enough.
One day, when our paths cross, once more, we'll fight a duel of words across the courtroom. The day I eagerly await as a lawyer.
I've been waiting to hear you say that, partner.
Just forgot the swords.
Don't forget me then, Kazuma.
As if I could, Ryunosuke.
And Mr. Sholmes, thank you so much. I'm very much indebted to you.
Indeed, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe you are.
I'll never forget all you've done for me during my time in London.
Quite. I should like to think you will remember your debt of gratitude. Especially when I visit you in your... What? The truth is, although many are ignorant of the fact, the world is far smaller than most folk realize.
Well, I'd be delighted if you came to Japan one day.
Oh yes, would welcome you with open arms, Mr. Sholmes. Oh, that sounds wonderful! I can't.
She's coming too. We're all moving to Japan.
In that case, let us conclude that this is to be merely a brief party, my dear fellows.
And that brings us to the end of my adventures in Great Britain. A peculiar twist of fate brought me halfway around the world those many months ago. But that was just the start of my journey. Who knows where fate will lead me next? Still, I'm confident this won't be my last meeting with the friends I've made in London. And when we're together again. No doubt, the first words I'll hear will be...
Objection? Oh,
Come, the game
wrong
is
character. The one time!
The ship, with our friends from the east, sailed steadily towards the distant horizon.
Man, I want to hear Iris' story about this.
But Sholmes' face was alight with joy. The times may change, but a steadfast friendship will remain true, Wilson. We have but to gently close our eyes, and we are with our companions once more.
So I do just that. And when I do, I can hear his strong, familiar voice ring out.
There it is.
Objection!
There it is.
Until we meet again, Runo.
Applause. Applause. An absolutely long game, but absolutely fantastic. The pair of them is such an amazing story. I know the sequel bait, but like I haven't heard anything. I've been thoroughly undaunted with the inquiries about my remote cinematographer app since that day, but I'm no purveyor to electrical goods and what of the promised closed circuits court. Anyway, I've decided an absence from London is in order. A sojourn in distant chimes, the Empire of Japan, perhaps. I understand that wardrobe class incurs no charge whatsoever. Dude, it was so good. Honestly, that last segment makes me wish more the games were just voice acted in general, but I can see why it'd be harder. I gave a little note to Hurley the other day. It just said, "Thank you for everything, Daddy." But it made Hurley cry. I wanted to see him cry. So I gave him some lotion I'd invented as well, to dye his hair red safely. But he said that it might make him cry too, so he'd rather not use it. Man, this was a much longer case than I expected. I think it was 6 hours? It would have been a little faster if we didn't get interrupted by the power outages. In those days when I was known as the Reaper, I felt your presence at my side. That's his brother up there. Once, unable to bear the burden of that grim pseudonym, I even retired from the courtroom. Despite everything, I still wear your prosecutor's badge with pride. But the darkness that once beset me is no more, as you two are no more. In the words of a young foreign friend of mine, I must stride forward to a brighter future. The boss left a note for me, you know, and I can read every letter now. A to Z, the whole lot. It's cleared a load of stuff up. The boss was trying to protect me, see? And that's exactly what me and the Chief expect Tobian to keep doing for Londoners. I only wish I could said grateful I was before we, you know. Dang. I wasn't expecting Jenna to become such a massive mainstay character. Nor with Mr. Natsumi. Oh, Mr. Natsumi's gonna show up in the credits. You can bet on it. Gregson. Jenna. The truth is, I'm not upstated fella you think I am. You might be a diver at heart, but it's a good heart. You've reminded me I need to be true to myself. I've got one more job to take care of before it's ta-ta to London town for the foreseeable. And then, I've got to complete your education in the art of deduction. A la Gregson, as they say. Dude, this little smug look. This game's story was so good. Like, Your Excellency, this man's accused of illegal entry to the office of the Minister of Foreign Affairs! Objection, Esquire! Overruled! The Minister has been denied in Britain every way! Who is this catfish counsel for the defense? And women are forbidden to the courtroom! Oh, really? My friend Satsuno-san is in the British courtroom all the time, doing a wonderful job. I don't remember. Perhaps I should have engaged the service as a regular legal team. There's a lot going on there. Oh my god. That's a lot of characters thrown in one scene. So wait, women can be in the court now? Is that just how it is? Mama, is it true about Japanese people? Are they experts at filleting corpses? Yes, they are. Fish corpses on the whole. I like to hone my own filleting skills. You don't mind, do you, Mama? Yes, I do. I'm not a corpse yet, am I? No. And I'm glad. God. What a pair of characters. I want to be in that courtroom. In this third installment. I heard that there was a whole third installment penned, but like they haven't done anything with it yet. Like apparently the tutorial case was supposed to be Kazuma's first defense trial. Here I am in Great Britain on the invitation of my own old university friend. He sent me a very nice letter to show me around and that everything was settled. But what have I done? I was so excited I picked this splendid hotel and I can't afford the bill. Oh, Barrett, come to my rescue again, please! I wish I could just manage the air sometimes! How funny. I hope I don't have to go through every single jury member. That would be exhausting. Honestly, the jury was not in as many cases as I expected. I mean, thematically it made sense why. When I went to make the waxwork impression of the killer in the cemetery, that is what had happened. But even the witness stand of the highest court in the land, I could never speak of it. The Lord Chief Justice and I had struck a bargain, you see. For a faithful reproduction of the visions, there is nothing we Tuspels would not do. Shh. Wizard lady. God. It's been a long time since the original 2 came out on the 3DS, though, so who knows when we'll get another one. Everyone calls me gossip, so Johnny old Tibbetts passes by, you know? Hey, everyone calls me a pipino, I sell you spaghetti. It's more ready than my head. Everyone, they call me? No, I cannot do it. This is ridiculous. Oh, Daly, how charming. You've made lots of new friends here, I see. Yeah, I said when we're released, we're all gonna strike it rich together. I forgot all about her. So many characters. Almost all of them have all been in these last 2 cases alone. Oh, what? But man, and such a well-orchestrated story among 2 games. Why I was accepted on the Foreign Study 2, where I knew exactly what path I had to take. And however it might have ended, I knew that I wanted you there to see it. If I ended up in the dock, there's no one I would have rather had defending me. But now, thanks to you, there's a new path I want to take. I'm sure we'll meet again in the courtroom, my friend. Until then, I leave Karuma in your care. The bromance. Bro, the fact that he was not actually dead, and it was like a twist, but like it came out so organically, was so refreshing. It didn't feel like an ass pull. It just felt like it was well written and executed. Oh, I've made some tea, Naruhodo-san. It's important that you rest while you can. Once we arrive in Japan, you shall be busy establishing your new office. I'm so delighted to be accompanying you. After all, your talents have been recognized by a great detective. Because you really are the greatest of lawyers. A great ace attorney, some might say. Roll the credits! Well, we already credited. The credits are already rolling. I mean, canonically, Naruhodo is the ancestor of Phoenix Wright, so that's where he comes from. So, I mean, bro, look at them all. He's got to have them babies somehow. Phoenix has to exist in some way. Kitty! Where's the kitty been? I forgot all about the kitty. Creditception. Oh my god, we have more credits. This is how the last one went too. Bro, that didn't well, that might have covered all the main characters. Good grief, what a... Yo, look, it's freaking boy Sasuto. I forgot all about that too. Kitties! So many of them! Oh, we're gonna go through all of them. Oh, there's that dude. The reporter. Hasanaga. Oh, and Natsume. Good god. A character that, man, I was so sick of seeing, but he grows on you. But man, it was so much of Natsume. Alright, so, wait, there's 2 Sasutos now! Alright, Sasuto, come on. You're coming with me, I think. Maybe. Yay, she's coming. Oh, these 2 better come too. Iris and oh, I love those 2. Dude, man, Sholmes was a master of a character that truly did grow on you. Oh, I forgot about these characters. They didn't show up in the credits either. They didn't. This is the first time they actually skipped some characters in the credits. And then there's the jury people. Dude, oh my god, Natsume's back and he's dancing. Dude, he can bust it down. Almost sexual style. There's Drubber. Man, it's just like, I know that not everyone was able to keep up with the entire story as a whole. I mean, unless, of course, everyone watched it in between. I don't really know what people did. But the entire game, well, the Chronicles, I guess, but both games, I guess, essentially, it was such a well-crafted experience. Like, I didn't really get it as much from the first game. It just felt like a solid Ace Attorney spinoff. But then, with the inclusion of this game having such a massively intricate and interlapping story, that just, it told such a complete thing across 10 cases. If anything, I kind of just wish there was, in a sense, some filler to have actually help, spread it out a little bit more. But even then, they didn't necessarily need it. All the characters developed so well across both games that you get such really well-made character arcs. Oh, the kitty's following us, too. You can't see it behind Aqua. Sorry, you can see the kitty. Like, so many characters that I wasn't expecting to be such... Wait, where did Sholmes go? Like, it was just... dude, Mikotoba ended up becoming... Dude, look at these 2. Mikotoba ended up becoming such a really good character, too. I thought he was gonna be bad. And then, like, frickin' Jigoku over here... Really... Like, all the characters had such really good character arcs, and everyone felt really well fleshed out. Strongheart, I mean, I will say, he had villain vibes from the very beginning. But, like, I didn't actually have any reason to think he would actually be a villain. So I'm like, that was just kind of like a little, you know, like a little impression. But, like, a well-executed villain that he was, for sure. It was just an overall and a fantastic story across 2 games that I really do wish would get more. I don't know if they will. It's been a long time since Ace Attorney 2 came out. It was on the 3DS. And it never came out in America until this, so who knows? Maybe this game's sales will spark it. They said that the Ace Attorney series is still continuing. They just, you know, they've been cooking. So, they did recently re-release the entire Apollo Justice trilogy, if you want, which they seem to be calling it that. I personally never called it the trilogy myself, but I guess, in a sense, he kind of is the trilogy. So, I love these 2. Honestly, I think Naruhodo is a lot more of a fun protagonist than, say, Phoenix Wright was. But they have such similarities. So it's like, Fiend. So I really do hope that The Great Ace Attorney does get a continuation at some point, and that it's not a Japanese exclusive for half a decade. Yo, look at that sick art of these 2. I love it. That's a beautiful ending piece there. It was a very, very good duology of games. Good God. I mean, I'm so exhausted. Every time I do this game, all the voices are exhausting, and I really, really hope I don't just sound like a freaking idiot the whole time doing them, and that the voices were added to the enjoyment, even if the accents weren't even all correct. Like, obviously I knew Van Zeeks wasn't freaking had that accent, but like, I had started with the vampire accent from the very beginning and had to stick to it, so. Oh, goodness. So, hopefully those added to the, I always like to get a chance to practice voice acting when I get a chance. It's something I do really enjoy doing. You have a good night, Ramirez. So, it is definitely difficult to do. Man, my throat was dying. You didn't have to stick to it, but I'm glad you did. I mean, I can't speak with a British accent. I freaking dated a British girl for so long, and I couldn't get the accent to stick. But it just helped to differentiate all the characters. Freaking Strongheart's voice, though, it was killing me, bro. My throat was dying. It was dying, like, having to talk with him for so long. I actually had someone come down in here during the stream before the power outage and was like, shh. I got way too into character. I don't know. I just enjoy the performance. I don't know if I sounded any good, but it was fun to do. Because it's like, otherwise I'm just reading the whole time with very little reaction and interjection, so. I don't know who said that the entire case takes 6 hours. This stream took 6 hours. And that was only half of the case. That's what I mean. Who on who's suggesting that this case only take between 6 to 7 hours? When it was more like 9. Like what if you're just flying through it like speedrun records? That's not a very good indication. I am so sad to see this game and its cast go, but it was such a great story and such a fun adventure of it. Like, I had always heard skipping all dialogue and using walkthroughs. Maybe, yeah. I didn't use the walkthrough unless it was absolutely necessary. And even then, sometimes it was just a simple fact of not examining something before presenting it, and then not logic leaping or jumping logic too early. Like, I had thought of opening Karuma, like, a good half an hour maybe before the game said, oh, open Karuma. I'm like, oh, well. I guess that was the whole point. You had to keep the twist
in for the end. So, I hope everyone enjoyed the Chronicles. I kind of wish I hadn't taken such a long break in between the two. But, you know, all of this last year has been a struggle for content making for me with streams, so I do apologize for it taking as long as it did. But I do hope everyone still enjoyed it. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. Like it was just a really, really good game. It might honestly, the Chronicles themselves as a whole are harder to judge as it, but I feel like you have to judge the Chronicles itself entirely. And it might be my favorite entry in the franchise. It was a very, very solid installment of the Ace Attorney series, and it was just a spin-off. So, I have played all of the Ace Attorney content up to this point that's been released, for two exceptions. The Edgeworth Investigations 2, which was never localized. I could definitely play it like on an emulator or something. And then I've never played the crossover of Phoenix Wright and Professor Layton. That's the only other Ace Attorney game I've never played. So, I guess when this came out, I kind of wanted to take a shot at playing Ace Attorney, and see what everyone would think of it, because everything else I've already played before I was even doing streams and stuff, so I never thought I would get a chance to do them anyway, so. And there's not really much of a reason to revisit the series when you already know all the answers and know all the twists. The whole part of the appeal is the blind reactions. But maybe if people wanted me to do, say, one of those other two that I mentioned, I could always come back to it at some point in the future. But it really just depends on what people want to see. I really thought when I started the first one it would have a lot more people involved and engrossed, and I hope it did. I tried to get more people involved in it, but it just seemed like it was harder to pull people in. People who would just miss one and then would never want to try and catch up anything they missed. I guess I expected people to react to it the way I probably would have if someone I enjoyed watching was playing a series quite like that. But I also know it's when you get situations like this where you have a 6-hour stream segment, but it's all over now, so that'll be it. I don't know if or what I'll stream tomorrow. If I'm in doubt, I'll probably just do some more XD or Harvestella. But now that this game is over, and it is the first game of the year that have finished and the first of the ongoing I've had since last year, that probably means then that the next game to finally begin is the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC. I was gonna wait until XD was over, but XD is surprisingly taking a lot longer because of the Ore Coliseum. So, Ace Attorney finished first, so I guess sometime next week I'll try to get everything sorted out, or I guess sometimes this week now, because it's Monday now after midnight. I will figure out when a good time works for everyone to premiere it, and then I can try and get a hold of it and do that. But that's all I've got for you tonight. I'm gonna let you go because I actually didn't get dinner because I was streaming this and thought it would be done way sooner to eat. Should have started at 7 at this rate. Anyway, have a good night, guys. Thanks for joining me on this longer than expected journey, and I will see you guys possibly tomorrow with something else. Something else that has already been continuing. So, but thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next stream. Good night, everybody, and have a good one. I need to go rest my voice.